The Ork assault on Acheron is underway, yet it appears this was merely a diversion. A highly mobile Ork assault force has broken through Imperial lines and is headed for the industrial hubs and Promethean fields to the south. Captain Tycho, accept your orders. Ready the Third. This is a company-wide deployment. Intercept the Ork assault force. Use any means necessary to halt the Orks and prevent them from reaching their objective. A company of Baneblades from the 1st Tank Division and a Reaver Titan from the Legio Metallica have been assigned to your command for this task. Use them well. Oh, and Erasmus. May the spirit of Sanguinius watch over you this day.
The Asphodel Heights, a gateway to the vast manufactorums and Promethean fields of Acheron Hive. These fire wastes were once verdant meadows, but centuries of relentless industry and warfare have turned this sector into as inhospitable a place as any on Armageddon Secundus. The Orks mean to seize the factories and refineries beyond the gates of Asphodel to renew Ghazghkul's faltering bid for dominion of Armageddon. It is here that Imperial forces, under the command of Captain Tycho, hope to bring a halt to the Ork breakthrough. Defeat here would be a disaster, not just for the defenders of Acheron Hive, but it would shatter any possibility of a decisive Imperial victory. We began by placing 8 objectives on the board, choosing landing pads and other strategic-looking locations. Next, we deployed our forces in secret. This was done by sketching them onto a rough map of the Asphodel Heights. James anchored his right flank with a Predator squadron and deployed the rest of Tycho's 3rd Company along the front line. He then placed the mighty Baneblades of the Steel Legion's 1st Tank Division and one of the last surviving Reaver Titans from the Legio Metallica, Fire Pike, alongside Captain Tycho and a detachment of tactical squads. The Ork deployment required significantly less finesse, and I dumped the whole Goff clan in the center. Stomper mobs, brain crushers, and mobs of jostling boys, along with a squadron of gut rippers and a mech boy Gargant. Obscured behind an abandoned citadel, the warbikes and buggies of the Cult of Speed gunned their engines, eager for battle. We then allocated orders to our units. These would only be revealed once initiative had been decided. After a firm White Dwarf handshake, we were off. It was close, but James secured the initiative, and after we had revealed our orders, the Blood Angel commander elected to let the Orks make the first move. The Stompers lumbered forwards to secure the first objective on the landing pad. As the Goff clan took to their battle wagons, disgorging mobs of warriors in a bid to contest the center objective. A second mob of Stompers advanced, as the Gut Rippers churned up the toxic ground towards Objective 4. Surrounded by teams of Gretchen orderlies pulling levers and frantically pushing buttons, the mech boys Gargant clanked onwards, towering over the abandoned habs. The Brain Crushers, their massive cannons primed and ready, rolled forwards. The Weird Boy Tower, soaking up the rising psychic excitement of the Orks, moved up to the side of a hab block. The Goff Knobs fell in behind, and the Skull Hammer rounded the citadel, ready to surge into the fray. The Cult of Speed zoomed into the center, securing Objective 8. With the Ork movement complete, James's Devastator squads thundered down the Land Raider boarding ramps, deploying their heavy weapons from elevated positions in the hab complex. The Predators moved at combat speed onto an objective as a score of enemy vehicles chimed on their auspexes. With a roar of engines, the trio of super heavy Baneblades clanked forwards. Their commander secured the top hatch and called all crews to battle stations. The Blood Angel Landspeeder Squadron zipped behind a building as James made ready to wrest control of the landing pad from the Orks on a future turn. The tactical squads led by Captain Tycho deployed from their rhinos and quickly found cover, ready to engage and destroy the horde of Goffs to their front. James's second tactical detachment moved up, securing their flanks between the fort and the basilica, confident that any casualties in the coming battle would be in the excellent care of the company apothecary. All move orders were now complete, and both of us could now only guess at the other's plans. Firepike, on first orders, opened the battle for the Asphodel Heights, raining missiles upon the ranks of the Goff warriors advancing on Tycho's company. Mobs of Orks were thrown skyward by explosions, leaving smoking corpses littering the ground. Both of Firepike's laser cannons opened up, but the ablative armor of the battle wagons prevented Firepike from destroying a single one of the Ork transports. Frustrated, the Princeps ordered more power from the reactor to be diverted to the laser batteries. The Brain Crushers fired next. Their macro cannons thundering into the Land Raider squadron, smashing apart two of the venerable machines and raining debris upon the outraged Devastator squads behind them. In response, the Devastators unleashed a furious volley of missiles and heavy bolter rounds into the Goffs, scything down a score of the fearsome warriors. A Stomper fired its cannon at the Marines in the center and blew apart a combat squad, sending the remnants of the squad diving for cover. The Baneblades found a juicy target in the form of my Skull Hammer. Now, there is no pre-measuring in Epic, so only one of them was able to find range. We used the super heavy rules found in Net Epic, so the Ork war machine was not destroyed, but badly damaged. Another Baneblade fired into the morass of speeding Ork vehicles, totaling a war buggy and two war bikes. The Mech Boy unleashed his custom cannon into the tactical Marines in the center. The heavy rounds blasted into the Crimson Armored Warriors, killing a tactical squad and turning a Rhino into a flaming wreck. The cannon on the Buzzsaw arm then blasted another squad, leaving only 10 Marines and Tycho left to contest the center objective. The Predators struggled to lock onto a target and only destroyed one of the Cult of Speed's buggies. The Gut Rippers hurled rounds at the second tactical detachment, but the Apothecary's invulnerable save prevented any of his battle brothers from being slain by the Ork tanks. Voxing the threat to the remaining Land Raider, the Apothecary smiled as one of the Gut Rippers was lanced into oblivion by accurate las cannon fire. The Skull Hammer returned fire, but failed to penetrate the Baneblade's formidable armor. Tycho unslung his combi melter and slagged a mob of Ork boys, as the remaining tactical marines rapid-fired, cutting down another mob. With War energy mounting, the weird boy in the tower belched a green bolt at the beakies, blasting a combat squad to smithereens. The slaughter in the center continued, as the Apothecary's tactical detachment laid down supporting fire. At the end of turn 1, we took stock. Both sides had inflicted heavy casualties, especially upon each other's infantry in the center, and the Orks had secured 3 objectives. Once again, James won the initiative. We paused for a beer and then placed our order tokens. After revealing the orders, James chose to go first. Engines screaming, a Thunderhawk gunship descended into the midst of the Cult of Speed, unleashing the 3rd Company's assault marines into the Ork speed freaks. The Baneblades rolled onwards. And Firepike, ever hungry for vengeance, plodded towards the survivors of Tycho's strike force, sounding its battle horn in a belligerent challenge to the enemies of man.
If in doubt, go forward.
Tycho moved within range of Objective 7, heedless of the danger all around him. The tactical detachment mounted up, and the Rhinos gunned their engines to reinforce their commander, making use of the hard cover between them and the main thrust of the Ork attack. The land speeders pushed into the Orks' right flank, sweeping onto the landing pad and capturing it. The Cult of Speed swung their war machines around to meet the assault marines, all in the shadow of the dormant refinery. One knob on a warbike was blown off his mount by the Thunderhawk's point defense systems. The Stompers plodded onwards, bringing their cannons into range as they did so. The mech boy Gargant raced past them, looming down over the mass of Blood Angels. The mech boy gave a toothy grin. This was gonna be a good scrap. The Goff knobs took up positions in the abandoned hab to get a good view of what was going on over there. Whilst the driver of the Skull Hammer stepped on it, bringing the massive war machine smashing into the flank of the tactical detachment. The surviving Goffs regained the momentum and made contact with the Blood Angels. The Gut Rippers charged into the rear of the Blood Angels battle line. As we both committed more and more of our forces to this combat, it became clear that whoever triumphed here in the center would win the day. Point defense from the Rhinos gunned down a mob of boys in the open. Breaking through the toxic cloud cover, the flying circus appeared, a trio of infamous fighter bomber pilots and the bane of Imperial armored columns on Armageddon. In the first fire segment, the Devastators obliterated the Brain Crusher squadron with crack missiles, effectively removing my Titan killing capability. The Stomper crews blasted 2 land speeders off the objective. The Predator tanks, picking their targets carefully, destroyed a buggy that was not in combat with the assault marines. A las cannon lance from the surviving Land Raider brought an Ork dreadnought crashing to the ground. The Ork fighter bombers, attacking the vulnerable rear of the Baneblades, badly damaged the company commander's vehicle and turned one of the super heavy machines into a flaming wreck. Scratch 1. The land speeders turned a Stomper into a molten inferno with a gout of multi-melter fire. the Goff Knobs, eager to do some killing, fired their shooters at the land speeders, downing all but one of the machines. Firepike's laser batteries cut down 2 more Ork dreadnoughts. And another volley of missiles crashed down onto the Orks, pulverizing 2 mobs of Ork Knobs on the roof of the hab block. 2 stompers finished off the pesky Beaker speeder, whilst the other failed to land a hit on the Land Raider. Ignoring the air assault, the Baneblades fired their guns at the Mechboy Gargant, landing an impossible shot through the flickering power field and starting a raging fire in the Gargant's boiler. Uh-oh. The Skullhammer ran amok, smashing aside 2 rhinos and killing the venerable old healer. The Gut Rippers followed the Skullhammer's example, wreaking a terrible toll upon the Blood Angels, their death rollers crushing a combat squad and another rhino to scrap. The Goff Warriors finally had the Beakies where they wanted them, and cut down 3 squads of Marines in brutal hand-to-hand fighting, whilst 2 battle wagons rammed a rhino into submission. In return, Tycho blasted a battle wagon apart with a well-placed melter charge. Meanwhile, to the north, the Assault Marines had well and truly bitten off more than they could possibly chew, and were no match for the seasoned Nob bikers. The Assault Marines fought desperately, but only brought down 3 buggies in return for 5 squads of Marines. At the end of the turn, we rolled to see what happened aboard the beleaguered Mechboy Gargant, and despite the best efforts of Grot firefighting crews, the raging inferno spread to 3 more compartments, cooking off ammunition and starting yet more fires. Both the Orks and Space Marines had taken tremendous amounts of punishment. Crucially, however, James's efforts to seize objectives from the Orks had been rebuffed. Moving into the 3rd turn, we once again allocated orders, and I breathed a sigh of relief as the Orks won the objective. Two Stompers asserted their right to the objective on the landing pad, flattening the wreckage of the land speeders as they did so. The Ork Knobs, their blood now well and truly up, charged into the centre, eager to get to grips with the shiny, beaky captain. The Skullhammer's crew, whooping with glee and keen for more beaky helmet trophies, charged into the Land Raider. Their excitement was short-lived, however, as the Land Raider's machine spirit fired a pinpoint lascannon shot into the Skullhammer's magazine, destroying it in a mighty conflagration of armoured plate and spinning debris. The fighter bombers roared over the Basilica, ready to swoop down onto the Devastator's positions. The Cult of Speed encircled the last assault squad and Thunderhawk, ready for the kill. The Predator Squadron secured Objective 2. Raphael, their commander, sighted the Stomper mob in the distance and voxed coordinates to the other crews. Firepike secured the beleaguered Blood Angel's flank and readied its weapon to sweep away as many Orks as possible as the Imperials struggled to regain the initiative. 2 surviving Baneblades caught up with the Predators, receiving and acknowledging the location of the Stompers on the battlenet. Now, at this point, we realised that we made a mistake as far as the Goff morale was concerned, and realised that the Goff clan should absolutely have broken the turn before. Potentially game-changing, but no big deal here, as James and I were having too much fun to care at this point. Anyway, the Goff boys and their battle wagons retroactively fell back, along with the Gut Rippers. The Stompers are fearless anyway, and the Goff Knobs passed their morale check. No harm done, and great news for the Blood Angels. The Stompers blasted away at Firepike, overloading one void shield. The Devastators, on first fire orders, loaded Skyfire missiles and sent ground-to-air missiles twisting into the air. Two of the fighter bombers were sent crashing to the earth. The Goff Knobs blazed away at Firepike with their lots of big shooters and easily stripped away the Reaver Titan's void shields, but despite lots of hits, failed to penetrate the God Machine's carapace. The Land Raider continued to deal death to the Orks, which it definitely shouldn't have done, as it had already shot this turn. The Thunderhawk and Assault Marines, both on first fire, did a heroic job of fending off the Orks, pushing the Cult of Speed over their breakpoint limit and testing their morale, which they duly failed. What a glorious stand! The mech boy, his gargant blazing about him, was determined to knock out Firepike with his custom cannon. But disaster struck once again as the weapon rolled a misfire. Firepike ignored this and instead busied itself lasering apart the cream of Ork society. The fighter bomber, jinking left and right to dodge the incoming missiles, raked the nearest hab roof clean of Devastator B-keys. Raphael's Predator Squadron scored engine kills, making the most of the Stompers' vulnerable side armor and felling two of the rotund war machines. At this point, we decided to leave it there. Both sides had fought themselves to a standstill. Much of the Goff clan and Cult of Speed was in full retreat, and the Blood Angels were in no shape to capitalize on this. The mech boy shrugged as klaxons sounded, and he prepared to go down with his magnificent creation. With a catastrophic detonation, the Gargant came apart in the center of the battlefield, knocking flat every warrior within hundreds of meters, as if Mork himself had called a stop to the proceedings. And there we have it, my first ever epic Space Marine battle report, and pretty much my second game of epic ever. I love the order system, the uncertainty of initiative, the you go, I go shooting phase, and also the way that the 40k factions that we're also familiar with scale in this game. There was, of course, a lot of learning from both of us here, both in terms of the rules, but also how to best use units effectively. I don't think any of this diminished our enjoyment of the game, and we were both really pleased with the outcome. Anyway, the next video will be a 2nd edition battle report that follows on directly from the aftermath of this battle. Let me know what you thought of the game in the comments. Before I go, just a quick shout out and massive thank you to my Patreon supporters, without whom any of this would be possible. If you enjoyed this video and want to support more of this sort of thing, check out the Minisodes Patreon. There's a monthly podcast and access to the Minisodes Discord, where you'll find a passionate, talented, and generous group of hobbyists who, like me, have a fondness for the Warhammers of yesteryear. There's a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and happy hobbying.
For the glory of the Imperium.